Hey everybody, welcome to the Art of Creation show, where every week me and my co-host Rebecca Jane Boswell, we do some amazing stuff with some amazing people. And this week we're joined by the inimitable. But I don't know what that word actually means, but it sounded so good.
Oh, and it just tastes good.
The fascinating, the potent, the powerful Susan Lazar Hart, Lazar Hearts, as she's sometimes called in certain circles. We're here today to talk about bodies. I'm your host, Frank Fradella. Susan, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and so's my body too. I'm glad you brought it with you. I did. A lovely body it is.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So, Susan, I love this conversation about bodies, and like there are beings and there are bodies, and sometimes there are beings without bodies, and sometimes there are bodies without beings, and like, okay, cool. This is a neat conversation we can have, and one of the things that shows up for me a lot is how surprising it is to people to realize that they haven't really recognized that they have bodies, right? Like we all bump around with these things that we live in or we think we live in, and then we have conversations about actually having and being with a body, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't even realize I had a body. So that could sound really weird to some people tuning in here. And yet at the same time, there might be that little piece of like, oh, wait a minute, what is that? So when did you realize that you had a body and start this journey of playing with bodies and having more conversations with bodies and communing with your body?
Well, can I reframe that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Is there an echo coming up for you, or is it okay? No, it's good. I always knew I had a body because I was told your body's too big, your body's too small, your body's too fat, your body's too thin, your body is bad, your body ate too much, your body can't keep up in class, your body can't jump that high, your body can't do this. So how many of us have always actually known we've had a body, but we think of it as, oh my God, I have a body. Now what am I going to do?
Right, as opposed to the body having its own consciousness and being able to play with the body as a teammate.
Yeah. We're not actually told or encouraged to treat and play, hence, would you be willing to seduce your body? Yeah. To treat your body as your best friend. I mean, there's a wonderful story that probably many people have heard, but let me suggest this to you. You wake up next to your best friend, and the first thing you say is, oh my God, you look like that? And then it's like, we don't have time, hurry up. You don't have to, fast shower, coffee, donut, whatever it is, and just put anything on because you can't fit into anything anyway. Just put it on. And then you rush yourself to work or to play group with your child or whatever that is. And during the whole day, you are telling your friend, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. We didn't get this done. We didn't get this done. Oh my God, you're driving me crazy and you're making me sick. Oh, and then at the end of the day, you are just exhausted. You say to your best friend, here, just drink this wine and you'll feel better. Eat this. You know, you deserve this. Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Eat it. So I made this for you. Eat it. You're not going to finish the whole thing. Do you know what time I took to make this for you? And then you get into bed next to your best friend, and you're like, I can't believe you ate the whole thing. Now,
I'm exhausted. Just listen to all that.
Your body is your best friend. So how many of us do that to our bodies?
Yeah.
We project whatever's going on. We expect our bodies to just deal with it and take it. We punish our body for the choices that we make.
Yeah.
So I would say many of us have been forced into considering that we have a body. Very few of us have been invited to play with our bodies.
Yeah.
To enjoy our bodies, to rejoice in having a body. Right?
Yes. Yeah. So go ahead.
I always say, when I override my body, I always go, sorry, body, sorry. I love you. You forgive me, body. Is it okay?
I love that.
Yeah. It's including the body in the conversation of being alive. Your body actually gets you up every day, right?
Yeah, so this is a new concept for a lot of people. It's certainly a new concept for me. I'm fairly new to the access sphere. I've only been about 1.5 years, 2 years now. But the first time I was at an access class and people were talking about going to lunch, during the break. And it's like, well, where should we go for lunch? And somebody said, well, what does your body want?
Yeah.
What?
Say what?
Hang on. Like, and all of a sudden I had this kind of like, wait a minute. Wait, like I had an awareness, like just hearing the question out loud. I was like, I got a sudden awareness, like my body was like this.
Yeah.
And it was like, it didn't come from this place where I know what food I like.
Yeah.
It came from that awareness of I asked the question and I heard an answer from within me that was like, no, what would be a real contribution to me right now is if you had this. This would be great. This is what I need. And I'm like, well, I'll just have that then.
Yeah. And it's usually something that is not, it's not what we think we would want to have, right? Like there's when we start listening to our bodies, it's that there's all this information that our body has within its awareness that we may not even be aware of when we're functioning from our minds and our brains and our thinking and all the judgments, expectations. I should eat this because this is the new fad diet, or I should eat this because my body will get fat if I don't, or if I do eat this other thing or whatever. So that conversation of like being able to acknowledge that we don't just walk around. We talked about this a little bit with Dr. Andrew Gardella in a previous show, right? We're not just walking around with this meat suit that's like, a robot driven by our brains. Like there's actually something else going on here. And we don't recognize necessarily that there is this intelligence and that there is this information that we have access to at any given time when we simply ask. And when it shows up as something different, then it's that thing of, okay, and am I willing to exercise the muscle of not just listening, also playing with what shows up and seeing if it actually works. We have so many places. I know for me, in the beginning of this process, working with the body, playing with the body, listening to the body, the body would say, oh, I would like to have that. And again, no, I can't have that. I never eat that. I don't even like that. And yet you have one bite and it's like, oh, that's the most amazing thing I've ever had. And maybe it only takes one bite. Maybe that's all that's required. So Susan, when you are looking at playing with your body and seducing your body, what is bring us into that world. What does that look like as you started that journey? What did it look like? How has it changed?
I would say the big key word is listen.
Yeah.
Is listen to the body. So if somebody was going to pop on right now with a question, well, what do you mean? What does it mean, listen to your body? Yeah. I would say one of the first access tools that I was introduced to was listening, asking a question. So the question might be, body, would you like to eat this? Body, would you like to drink this? And people will say, I don't get anything. Well, would you be willing to let your body know you're listening?
Yeah.
Right? So there's a wonderful tool that we play with where if you put your toes, I can't stand up here in this thing, but if you put your toes and your heels together, and just lower your barriers and lower your barriers. And that's an exercise I play with often with classes, is I have people actually put their hands up by their shoulders and push your barriers down, 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 push your barriers down all the way, and let the earth take that. Now with your toes and your heels together like that, if those are your feet, say, body, would you show me a yes, please? And when I ask my body, would you show me a yes, please? And I ask, my body leans forward. I say, okay, body, could you show me a no, please? And my body might lean backwards. My body, could you show me a maybe? My body would lean to the side. Now I do this when I go to David's tea store, Second Cup, and that people see me like they think I'm praying or something. Because I'll hold I'll hold a cup in front of me. And right in front of my solar plexus, and I'll say, okay, body, would you like this? And my body's like, yes, I will. Cool. And number one, it's you beginning to listen to your body. And number two, it's acknowledging and introducing your body that you're actually listening.
Yeah.
So it's a symbiosis of the body listening to you and you listening to the body, which is something that we've been taught to override by the wonderful examples that you've given. So for myself, when I first, I was a chocoholic. I mean, when I was raising my kids and putting them to bed, I'd have, chocolate shavings in the cup, and I'd be doing this, and they'd say, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, having coffee," until they learned to smell that it was chocolate. And But the thing is, I decided what I wanted. And with these tools, I might open the fridge and I'm like, I really want this or that. And my body's like, no, that. So I would say that the very first step and is in seducing anyone is being a good listener, right? I mean, who doesn't love a good listener? So when your body starts to, I often encourage people, just play with the exercise I just gave you. When your body starts to acknowledge that you're actually listening, you're going to get those energetic tugs, those energetic, like, wishes, whatever that is, that say that, I'll have that.
Yeah.
So for instance, you can stand outside. I remember I was in Barcelona recently and somebody said, "Oh, there's a most amazing pastry store down there. You've got to get it. I just got a whole bunch I'm going to take back to my place in New York, blah, 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 blah." And I went down there and I said, "Body, is there anything you would like here?" And my body's like, "We just want to kind of take in all of this. We want to take in the luxuriousness of the displays. We want to take in the smell of the sugar and the butter. Body, would you like to buy anything?" No. And that's the willingness to court the body, ask the body, "What would you like?" One of the classes I give actually is called A Delicious Day with Your Body, and another one is A Delicious Date with Your Body, and which we actually go into a restaurant. And we do talk a lot beforehand about the bodies and food, and we go into a restaurant, and I might ask when they order, one of the questions is, who are you eating this for?
Yeah.
Who are you ordering this for? How many of us, whether at home or in a restaurant, order actually what our body, more than what our body requires, and probably often what our body does not actually wish to eat.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of ways that we play with when you take a bite, when you take a sip of wine, when it changes the taste in your mouth, your body's telling you, "Sorry, no more, thank you." And I've often asked my body, "Sorry, I'm so stupid. Could you please tell me when I've had enough? Show me when I've had enough. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it takes. You show me when I've had enough, because you're a lot smarter than I am," right? Yeah.
One time I was at this beautiful Brazilian restaurant in New York City, and they had the most amazing buffet and display of gourmet food. The most, probably at that point, one of the most luxurious and extravagant displays I'd seen in a while. All very fresh, amazing. And it was, it was amazing, and like, wow, and yay, and let's, and great, and bring, and they come, and it's just amazing. And I was enjoying it, and then all of a sudden, like, there was this really weird energy, and I was like, what is this? And I started to feel really strange in my body, and I started to feel kind of sick, and I started to panic a little, and I was like, what is going on? This is so interesting. Okay, body, what is going on here? And all of a sudden it popped into my head, "Oh, are you eating for everyone in the room?" And I was blown away by that question, because all of a sudden what I recognized was how aware I was of everyone in this packed restaurant having this point of view of, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. This is how much I'm paying. I may never see anything this amazing again in my life. How am I going to eat as much as I possibly can in the next, hour, 2 hours?" And I was perceiving and receiving all of that information and trying to make it about me and my body. And my body was just like, "Oh, wait a minute. Not going to do that. Stop."
Yeah, I find lately that since asking my body more and listening to more, like, how much do I really need to eat? Like, in this meal, like, how much am I actually desiring? And it's usually about, like, this much food, like, that's really just kind of enough to sate me. And like, I don't mind eating 4 or 5 times a day as long as they're smaller meals. But I find that I get deeply affected if I go into like one of those Brazilian steakhouses where like they come over with like the slab of meat on a sword, and like there's a guy who will like take a machete and carve off meat onto your plate.
And they carve it off, and even that is like an orgasm, just that. And I'm like,
oh my God. And like you paid, and they do this thing where like you've paid one price for all of this. Yeah. And so like you're not just, and I'm realizing that this isn't all mine, right? Where like you're picking up the thing, we're like, oh my God, I have to eat all the food. All the food I could possibly, like, I will hollow out one of my legs and stuff food in there, but I'm not leaving without getting my money's worth out of this thing. I can't just eat this much food this time. Yeah. I got to go for broke.
Yeah, and you may never find it as good as this ever again either, right? So, I mean, what question is that? How does it get any better than that fit into, oh my gosh, this is the last time this could ever show up in my life. So yeah, I mean, how many times does that happen? You know, for people who are new to this, just finding the show for the first time, you know, some of this may sound a little strange, and yet, you know, really look at it. You know, how many times do we have these strange, I say strange because they're things that we're not really used to, or that are unexpected, things that come up and we're like, "Rrr," and how much of that is actually where our body is giving us information, you know, even if it's an intensity that we perceive as a pain or a discomfort or an annoyance, right? How much of that is the body knocking and saying, hey, excuse me, can you just, I've got a thing here. Would you mind coming and listening to what I have?
So Susan, you mentioned two of the classes that you host, and these are like the thing. Can you talk about some of the other classes that you host and how they differ from one another?
Yeah. Well, they're actually all interrelated. Thank you. Everything we do is relating to everything we do. So, you know, we're in relationship with our body. We're in relationship with everything. So one of the classes that I play with is I'm an Access Consciousness facilitator, and I facilitate Access Consciousness 3-day body classes, which have to do with opening up that space of orgasmic energy that we've been taught to close down. Yeah. And so when we talk about going into a restaurant, not being present with what it is that our body desires, when we, you know, how many times do we go into a business? Do we go into the bed? And we're not willing to be present with what our body desires and requires. So we're actually, all of the classes I facilitate have to do with your relationship with you and your relationship with your body, because your body's who you be. You know, your body is part of the consciousness of who you choose to be and walk on this planet with. Yeah. So you could have chosen to be a little entity wandering around, a ghost or whatever you want to call it. You chose to have a body. So there's a consciousness with the body. And so with the 3-day Access Consciousness body classes, it's really a gift to give yourself, in which you gift and receive these amazing Access Consciousness body processes that actually uncreate, that let go of, and actually destroy all of those thoughts, those feelings and the emotions of what it is to have a body. And as the CEO of Right Relationship for You, an Access specialty class, having to deal with relationships, again, we talk a lot about, you know, what it is to be present with you in every relationship. So yeah, a delicious date with your body, having to do with being present. What if you actually, like, I love this. You can see where I live, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the cup I drink from. This is a pearl I bought in Australia 10 years ago with my 10% savings. This is a pearl that Ricky bought for me when we were biking in New Zealand on South Island. So everything that if I turn it around, you can see my paintings. Everything that I have and be and do is about the seduction of life and living and bringing your body to. Yeah. So in the morning when you get dressed, you say, okay, body, show me what clothes you want to wear.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I see what some facilitation looks like here? Because I've been looking forward to this show, especially for the past week. I had a massage last Saturday, and this is part of me asking my body what it wanted. My body's been asking me for more ease. I feel like my body and I have been in couples counseling for a little while now, because
most people have for 14,000 trillion years.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I had a heart attack at 41, and Thanks. Yeah, no, and that's led to some interesting experiences and parts of my journey. But recently, you know, for about a year, I've been limping on my right leg, thinking that I had torn my ACL in my knee. But being an American without health insurance, that's like a $30,000 operation. I'm just going to have to limp. So
oh my God, a limping heart attack. I love it.
So I decided when I got to Italy, you know what? I'm gonna ask my body what it wants, and my body asked to be stretched, and it asked to have a good massage. So I started booking these 100-minute sessions with this guy on the other side of town, and he was fantastic, and everything's going well. 3 sessions later, I'm not limping, I'm not in pain with my knee anymore. On the 4th session, he snaps my rib. I don't know how. Like, I was on this hard tatami mat, and he was behind me, and he put his hands on my shoulders, like on my rib cage and my back, and just kind of like compressed my rib cage, and my rib snaps. And for the last week, I've been in just agony, and I'm like, I keep asking what's right about this. I'm not getting, Susan, and I don't have an answer yet. And I was wondering if maybe you could facilitate me here.
Can I ask you some questions?
Yeah,
I love this.
Okay. Did you ask your body if it wanted to have a 4th massage?
no.
Okay, so how many do we say? If this is good, more is going to be greater.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Right?
Yeah. That place where we ask a question and then stop asking and say, yeah, but I asked a question
Right.
a year ago or 10 years
I asked
ago.
to find a great masseuse. So so everything that just brought up, we're going to use the access consciousness clearing statement here. Can we uncreate and destroy that? And uncreate is not, I said that recently to somebody that said, oh, I meant not into destruction. Like, I totally am not into destruction, okay? Well, you bought into crap for years and multiple thousands of years that you've actually destroyed yourself. So use the magic and uncreate and destroy it, right? And
Okay.
so everywhere that you bought into a wrongness, what have you made so vital, valuable, and real about creating your body in this reality? Everything that's for everybody, everything that has you trying to fit into the choices you've made.
Mm-hmm. And that others have made for
Well,
you.
let's just stick with this one. Everything that is, can we uncreate and destroy that?
Yeah.
Because because we have choice, right? So Frank, you have choice. So now, have you asked your body what it is that your body requires?
Yeah, I'm not getting a clear answer.
Do you have people around you that can do body processes?
Maybe.
Okay, you don't actually have to have somebody. No, is there somebody? Pardon me. Is there somebody that you can ask to put their hands on you?
Yeah, but usually I have to pay extra for that.
I'm not talking about a happy ending.
Oh.
Not that kind of show, Frank. Yet.
So if there is somebody that can put their hands on you,
yeah,
I would have them run. There's a lot of body processes that have to do with taking the cell back to what it was.
Mm-hmm.
One is cellular memory, zero sum of trauma.
Yeah. And cellular memory
MTVSS
and
MTVSS, which is these are the body processes that we learn in what's called the foundation class, the core class, one of the core classes with access consciousness. So that's where I would begin.
Okay.
And you can do that yourself. You can go to sleep putting your hands on that rib, or even now while we're talking, and put your hand on the rib and run MTVSS, cellular memory, zero sum of trauma, quadrate relaxation, and ask your body to body, show me what you require to heal. Right. So is there anything that you've been doing that has you running around at all?
You mean like an international move?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So thank you, body, for showing me that it's time to just take care of you now.
Right. So, I mean, that is the clear answer that I've been getting for a long time. Like, my body keeps asking for more rest, for more ease. And
that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, I mean, there's this huge part, and you know, part of this for me is kind of folded into what it means to be a man, where, like, you know, I've got these 3 children, and I've got this woman who is technically still my wife, although we've separated. But we were all moving across the planet together. And so there was this like kind of level of responsibility for me to take on more of it than
so here's a silly question.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I love about Access Conscious is it's about being in the question. Okay. So here's a silly question. Don't run it. Don't ask.
Okay. Yeah.
What would it take to have total ease with all of this?
Yeah.
What would it take to have total ease with all of this? And again, you know, what have I made so vital, valuable, and real about relating to the density of this reality that I've actually forgotten to listen to my body? Oh.
Yeah. And what density am I making my body that is actually this reality and not my body at all? Right? I mean, I get too, there's all these ways that we make our body so solid, and we lock all these things into our body that actually have nothing to do with our body, right? So
can I just check in with Frank for just a sec?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Frank, how is this for you?
Good.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
Thanks.
No, I mean that all.
Yeah. Well, because I guess I'm also I'm kind of perceiving the people watching this a little bit too, and I'm getting right that thing of like, well, it's just a question, like, you know, what would it take to have more ease with this? And just kind of like, that, like, what is that? That doesn't do.
So let's talk about that. So let's talk about the elegance and the seduction of asking a question.
Yeah, and that opening the doors of possibility, and what that is actually creating, and that there is something greater there than just words strung together with a.
So let's talk about the elegance of asking a question. So we go through life deciding, and like, this happened to me, rather than, oh, that's an interesting creation. Huh. Yeah. What else is possible? What's greater here for me? Somebody, you know, once said when I got into asking questions, well, and I realized that I've always been asking questions. So, you know, how many of you are seekers? You know, raise your hands.
Yeah.
All of you watching and listening. So, you know, truth, have you not been asking questions all along? But we're taught in this reality to ask a question, you must have an answer.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Rebecca, for inviting in the audience that isn't familiar with questions. So when we're actually willing to ask a question, like my response is, well, it's much easier to ask a question than say I'm a piece of poop today.
Yeah.
Because a piece of poop that has no possibilities. I'm going to say, quote unquote, the reason or raison d'etre for asking a question is it actually opens a window to other possibilities.
Yeah.
And we know that there's so much more to this universe, to this planet, than what we can see, taste, and feel. That if we're willing to actually invite in all the sprites, all the whatever you want to call them, whoever you play with, to contribute to you by asking, okay, what else is possible? I mean, there are times when I'm just like, okay, man, what else is possible?
Yeah.
Right. And not go to the wrongness. Again, we're taught to ask a question. What do you mean by what you just said? It's not a question. Do these pants make me look fat? It's not a question. I can't believe, did you tell me the truth? Did you steal that? It's not a question.
Yeah.
So thanks, Rebecca, for that. Because it's really the introduction of being the question with your body and the elegance of asking a question. Yeah. The clarity, actually asking for clarity rather than looking for proof. Right?
Yes, and that's big.
There's a huge difference. There's an elegance. There's a seduction of asking somebody, could you give me more clarity, please?
Yeah.
Rather than show me the proof. And you get this sense of when you're in the question, your body actually rises to the lightness of that. Rather than what you were just talking about before, the density. Yeah. When we buy something as real and true, what somebody is telling me, well, I'm just asking you a question. Like my mom used to say, I'm the only one that loves you enough to tell you what's wrong with you. So which would create... Would that create a little density in the body? I'll just go and eat something in my room.
Well, then you have to, I mean, because then you also have to, you know, okay, I love this person. They say I'm fat. So now I have to be fat in order to show up in their world, and there's this whole thing that's going on, that can go on, all this convolution, right? And then that's not even really relevant to what you'd like to be choosing. So then there's this conflictual universe of like, well, I think this is me, when actually there's this deeper knowing that keeps tugging, where you kind of have this discordance of like, it's not me. And then you're kind of, it's like you're walking through life with your clothes like half twisted, and you know, your leg tied up behind your back and your eyes closed. And if we could actually take all that away and now have these conversations with the body, right? All of a sudden it's so much easier, and we don't have to have that, you know, all that going on.
So let me ask a question now, if I may, of Susan.
Yeah.
Susan.
Yes, Frank.
So you mentioned earlier that all of the classes that you teach are interconnected and they interwoven and stuff. And I also know that you do the Right Relationship for You courses.
Correct.
So, you know, I'm considering that. I was just questioning how does the body get incorporated into a relationship class? Well, hang on a minute.
I love this question. I love this question.
Is there a relationship on this planet?
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly.
For that.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Your primary relationship is your relationship with you. And if you chose to have a body, that would be with having your body too.
Okay, say that again. Just for the slow folks in the back row, just one more time, please.
Primary relationship is your relationship with you.
That's brilliant.
So what I often suggest with people is when they say, I'm looking for someone, I say, well, write down what are the qualities that you're looking for? Is it generosity of spirit? Is it sexualness? Is it adventure? Is it curiosity? Is it the willingness to self-satiate? Right? Which for the back row, that means not have to depend on somebody else to live your life. So write those down and take a moment and look at those and ask, okay, where are you not willing to be that for you?
Yeah.
And where are you not willing to be that with your body? So if you're not willing to be curious with your body, can you really have wonderful sexual adventures with somebody else and their body? If you're really not willing to be to satisfy you, can you actually receive somebody who's willing to satisfy you?
Right? And can even be satisfied if you aren't even willing to look at what that is.
Well, and that's the gentleness and the seduction, again, of writing down. What is it that you're looking for? What are you looking for in a body? Right? And are you willing to be that with your body? So with Right Relationship for You, it's really about the relationship that's right for you, because your relationship, Rebecca, is not going to be the same as mine or as Frank's. And we, as we all are on this planet, I wonder what it is that we could play with that would create that consciousness that we're asking about. And consciousness is so seductive. You know, did you ever meet somebody who had their barriers down, who was just like in their body and didn't have to prove anything? That's seductive.
Yeah.
And that's the willingness to be that with the body. And what I can tell you is, with Right Relationship for You, we have New Beginnings, the core class. We have Advanced Sexualness and Relationships, in which we play with some body processes. And then we have the Certified Facilitators, which people can come to whether they choose to be a facilitator or not. Often people come because they just want more of this kind of like, oh my God, I'll have those questions.
Yeah.
And with the 3-day body class and with the advanced body class with Gary Douglas, it has opened, our bodies are sensate organs. So these body processes actually open you up to that more galvanic response of having your body rise to somebody else's, of just being present with you and your body and the elements, whatever that looks like for you. It opens you up to more of you, because it's an invitation for more.
See, there's a couple of brilliant things that you've said just in the last couple of minutes here that I just want to just a couple of brilliant things that you've said in the last couple of minutes here that I just want to circle back to.
Sure.
I want to highlight them for just a moment. The first one was this idea of writing down the qualities that you'd like to see in a partner, because I think this is brilliant. Like, a lot of people engage in relationship from this place of, I met this person, and while I was with that person, I felt this way.
Yeah.
And so I like that feeling. I would like that feeling to continue, and so I'm going to spend more time with that person.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't include your awareness about that person, and it doesn't include you in that equation, except for the fact that this is how I feel. And your feeling and your awareness are two different beasts entirely.
Yeah.
And one of them does not always serve you very well. So I love this idea of, well, you know, if you were hiring for a job position in your life, you know, what qualities would that person have for the job?
Absolutely.
If they don't have those qualities, then they don't get the job.
Yeah, I mean, I thank you so much, Frank, because I often talk about in the Right Relationship View classes, what if your relationship with somebody else was like a business?
Yeah.
So would you if you were going into business partnership with somebody, would you not check out, you know, how they were financially? Would you not check out if they actually came to something on time? Would you not check out if they were organized? You know, what contribution were they to, not to complete you, but what contribution were there to creating more with the business in the future? Yeah. People often get involved in relationships where they have no idea what how that person handles their finances. They apologize for their lateness. There's no gratitude. There's no sense of receiving, and yet they're blinded because they've already decided this is the person for them.
Yeah,
you wouldn't go into business, well, hopefully, with somebody like that. Why would you be in relationship with somebody like that?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So and I also kind of see that people who are, I'm not trying to create separation here, but there's something about women that I've met that are more self-reliant, more successful in their own lives, more conscious, more in touch with their own bodies, who are more in the world, who show up more in the world, who are accustomed to being themselves, who are truly being them. They have a harder time very often finding a partner. And I think this is kind of like, well, this isn't an entry-level position anymore that you're looking for. Like,
okay, everything. I'm just going to stop that. Okay, everything that is. Can we uncreate and destroy that, please? Okay.
Yeah.
It's what do you know? I remember years and years ago when I first got into Access, and I said to Gary, "There's nobody fun in Access." He goes, "Well, you haven't asked." So it's the same thing in a relationship. I asked for Ricky when I was 16. I met him when I was 21. I knew exactly who I wanted to play with. Now, I was with other people along the way, and all of a sudden, I walk into a bar. I'm wearing a clown nose. I've been hitchhiking around the world. Here's this guy that comes in a three-piece suit, right? I make him do tequila shooters with a friend of mine. He makes me dance with a guy in a kilt. Told the guy I was his fiance. We had just met, and we're just like riffing off of each other. Now, we are two of the most improbable people that you would have ever put together. And as a matter of fact, I invited him over for a party at my house, my apartment the next week. And my friends, all my hippie friends looked at him and said, you had to meet an Aryan. So the thing is, you have to ask for what you want.
Yeah.
And it's like, ask and let the universe know. Oh, you're looking for this, this, and this. Okay, cool. Give me a minute. You have to choose to actually be the vibration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think of people like Marie Forleo. I think, you know, in the North American world that stand out as women who she asks for what she wants.
Yeah.
Right. And she is the vibration. You know, if you're looking for somebody who is adventurous, who is fun, who is self-actualized, you have to actually be that vibration yourself. Right? That you complete me from the Tom Cruise movie doesn't work. At the end, he and Renee Zellweger go to their own trailers, take their own makeup off, and get driven home.
Yeah.
Separate homes.
Yeah. Well, what I see a lot is that there's, you know, how many times do we go out into the world and we're with someone or something, and we actually receive a piece of who we be, and we're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I love that. I want to be with that person forever. And actually, it didn't even have anything to do with that person. It was that you actually had some access to yourself and your being that you hadn't acknowledged before. And now you want to be with that person. And now you're projecting all of this greatness that you'd like to have more of onto them, when actually they were being who they be, and you were starting to show up in a different way. But now when they are not showing up in that way, you know, we start to like make them wrong, or, you know, you're not what I thought you were, or the expectations are not being met, or whatever. And it's because you're looking for that piece that actually was never them. So like
That's
how
beautiful.
much more can we receive what we be, choose what we be, bring that out into the world, and then see, and who are you? Like how would you like to be in this on this planet? And like, now can we have those play together, and you be you and I be me?
How I came to Access. I'm not kidding you. Like literally, you just described how I came to Access. I showed up at a Being You class to just be the videographer and shoot something. Yeah. And then I met everybody, and I literally said to them on day one, I want to run away with you and join your circus. Like I literally, that's what I said. I was like, how do I get more of this? Because I felt more of me. Yeah. And I was like, how do I run away with you and join your circus?
Yeah.
Here I am. So.
And that's it. It was just you having access to more of you. And it's like you were saying before, Susan, you know, what if we all chose to have a relationship or a communion with our bodies, and if we were all being all of those energies that we've been looking for in everyone else for our whole lives, what would that do to just change the entire energy on the planet? I mean, how would war even be possible? You know, how would anger and hatred survive or even exist in the way that it does on the planet now? Because you don't have that proving energy anymore, and you don't have that like clawing and like all these things that people get wrapped up in, and that they're like trying to get love to save them from. And it's like, well, wait a minute, what if we just destroy and uncreate all of that set, and like create a set in which we can show up, and it's more of a playground, and it's a hey, and it's a, maybe it's a hug, or maybe it's, you know, playing hopscotch, or maybe it's you know, whatever it is. It's such a different thing of like, this is me, this is you. I'm forcing my body to do something so I don't even like myself, and I'm in constant conflict in here. So now I'm gonna have to be in constant conflict with you, and then now there are all these other people. So then we're all doing this weird thing, and nobody's happy. Like, oh my gosh, can we just totally obliterate all of that on the planet through all time and space?
You know how you do that?
Choose.
It's a choice. Choice, question, possibility. That's how we play.
So speaking of choice,
yes.
Your 3-day body class, I'd like to just put out there how excited, in a non-weird implanty kind of way, how enthusiastically awestruck.
You can say excited. You can talk.
I am. I'm just thrilled and tickled and so thrilled that you are going to be coming to Greenville in South Carolina, and at the end of the month, for a 3-day body class. You were talking about the 3-day body classes that you're hosting.
That you're hosting.
And I get to help host it, which is amazing. Working together with amazing people to make this possible, and to create this together. And so, you know, I want to say too, there are people all over the planet, all around the world, who are doing, like, for instance, I'm a body process facilitator. So I teach individual, or, you know, I can teach 2 body processes. Like this weekend, I'm teaching body process tomorrow, and then one on Sunday morning as well. And, you know, these are processes that anybody can come to do. So like, if you've heard this and you're like, oh, I'm really curious what that's like, and you're willing to just go and have someone put their hands on you and experiment and play with energy and see what shows up, you know, you can pretty much anywhere in the world find somebody somewhere.
Are there any Access prerequisites to take a 3-day body class?
So exactly. And then if you want to take the 3-day, especially maybe the one in Greenville, because it's amazing here, you know, there are some prerequisites.
Out there.
So, Susan, do you want to talk a little bit about what the prerequisites are, and, you know, who would really, you know, who would like to come and play at this class?
Well, if you have a body, you probably would like to come and play at the class.
Yes, they're all coming.
They're calling. The bodies are calling. The prerequisite is the Access Consciousness Foundation class, and that's it. So go on to the Access Consciousness website. Go onto my website, susanlazarhart.com, and I'm facilitating classes. Well, I'm actually facilitating one coming up in Vermont, another one in Toronto, Canada. Then I go to Carolina, and nothing could be finer. And And there's classes, there's actually body facilitators and 3-day body facilitators facilitating classes all over the planet, as Rebecca so beautifully put. Last Victoria facilitating a 3-day body class, Victoria, Canada, and I think there were 8 3-day body classes going on all at the same time, all contributing to each other. And it's really, again, it's like being seduced by consciousness.
Yeah.
You know,
I was just going to say that, you know, even if you have 8 going on, you know, all the facilitators bring a different energy to the class. And even if you were to take a 3-day body class, one after another, with the same facilitator, it's going to be a different class. I know, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a different class every single time, because we are different every time we get on the table, whether it's in the morning and in the evening, or whether it's today and tomorrow, whether it's now and next year. You know, we are ever changing, ever evolving. And so doing a 3-day body class once a year, you know, what could that create? Doing one every 6 months, what could that create? And
so,
you know,
Rebecca,
it's like,
would you like to talk about, you said getting on the table. Do you want to talk a little bit to that, so people don't think that they have to take all their clothes off? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, and what does
getting on the table mean?
Yeah. So one of the things that I have found that's been really neat with these body processes is that when people are asking to receive more and they haven't really been willing to receive that much, up until then, there is sort of this freedom in the invitation to receive a body process without having to do or be anything or take off clothes, or, you know, you could be as vulnerable as you choose, but at first all you do is you show up to the room and you lie down and you open up to possibilities. So you keep your clothes on. Usually in classes, there are blankets in case you get a little bit chilly. So people wear loose-fitting clothes and just clothes that their bodies are comfortable in, or that they feel amazing in, or whatever it is that your body would like. Maybe it's spandex, I don't know. But, you know, you don't have to take off your clothes, and you just get to be on the table and receive whatever that is. And so wherever you are, that's where the session is going to be, and wherever you're willing to go, that's where the session is going to go. And so being there, and, you know, that's it. It's so easy. It's so easy. You don't have to picture anything. You don't have to like repeat anything. You don't have to, you know, do anything. There are modalities where you have to like get it right. You know, you just have to be you, and wherever that's tricky, that's fine too, because, you know, just receiving is going to give you more of that. So I know we have a great space for you in Greenville, and so again, how many people watching are going to want to choose that and come see the waterfalls downtown and all the amazing eateries, and there's a lot of nightlife, and of course 3 days of receiving. I mean, how does it get any better than that? And what could you receive beyond that? And a little plug, if you're looking for a foundation class and you want to make a nice little summer vacation, I do have a foundation coming up June 15th through 18th. So that's the weekend prior. And there's all kinds of stuff to go. There's Asheville is closed. There's the Biltmore Estate, which is an amazing place to go, the Vanderbilt Estate. And there are beautiful mountains. There are hiking trails. There's all kinds of stuff. So come on down. And there's a bars class on the 14th. So that's the prereq for the foundation. So you could just come and be and do it all right here in South Carolina. Who knew? Nice. So Susan, can you tell us all the different ways that people can find you now, to have more of this conversation with you, to learn more about how this actually can become a part of their reality of choosing more of their body and being in communion with their body and asking questions?
Choice. Should be like choice.
So what are some of the tools, like the websites and the groups? I know you have so many things that you offer people.
I think
so
the easiest,
find you?
I think the easiest thing is for people to go to SusanLazarHart.com.
Okay.
And you'll see all the places and spaces I'm playing with, the classes around the world. And just to add to what Rebecca was saying, you go home from a 3-day body class, not only with a new sense of you and a sense of what it is to have a body on the planet, you also go home with a juicy manual that is about 30 pages thick with, I think, I don't even know how many body processes there are. And there's 4 new ones that are, if you haven't taken a body class in a while, come to this one. There's 4 new body processes that are just really have to do with letting go of all the feelings that you've locked into all those places and spaces in your body. And that's a whole nother discussion. When you come to a body class, you'll see it's the questions that you bring to the class that really determine where the class goes. And I've been an Access Consciousness facilitator for over 13 years. So if I don't know where you want to go, I'm going to look it up for you.
Wonderful. I love that.
I want to go to that.
So Frank, why don't you hop on over and then you'll have this manual so that you can have people assist you with body processes there in Italy.
You know, if it didn't involve going back to the United States of America, I would definitely do that. But
the United States of America.
Yeah.
Don't go there, Frank. Don't go there.
I'm not going there. But I want like a whole other hour with you, Susan Lazar Hart. I adore you, and you know that I do. So you know, I actually I was blessed. Not long ago, I was in Ireland, right? I was in Ireland, in Dublin, and Susan and I met there again. It wasn't the first time we'd met, but I just, you know, every time I meet Susan, I get this overwhelming awareness of how much of her she is being. There's no artifice involved. It's all just exactly who she is. Who you've seen today on the show is exactly who she is and who you would see to class. And she's just a true gift to the planet. And I'm so grateful for you, Susan. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I've been had before, but this is the best.
Doesn't get any better.
When we called the show Seducing Your Body, I really thought there was going to be more Candlelight and Barry White LPs, but I'm going to let that go. So we have a lightning round for you, Susan. 5 questions. We're going to set them up and knock them down. So, number 1, Susan, for the studio audience, what tool can they add to their lives today to stop making excuses and start creating the life they truly desire?
To stop, well, it's again, what choice, wow, that's a really good one. That's a really big one. The thing is, I would say, ask yourself, okay, have I stopped choosing here? If you want a real fast juicy nugget, I'm thinking, what questions do I ask myself every day? I'm like, when I bump up against something, I'm like, wow, have I stopped choosing?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Or have I made this choice into a conclusion?
Yeah.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Cool. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, who inspires you to create more in the world?
Oh, there's so many people. Every day it shifts and changes. You know, certainly Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness. I'm so grateful for him for creating what he's creating, and he doesn't stop creating. And that's the golden nugget there. Is whoever inspires me is somebody who just keeps on creating and doesn't stop. And yeah, I've been in Access for 14 years, and when I see the shift and changes with the tools, with asking a question, I think that inspires me. There's a lot of people that actually inspire me every day, and it's a big list. And one of them is my husband.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, we've been together for over 40 years, and he's a total inspiration in the way he chooses to be on the planet. So, wow. And of course, my children and so many people. How does it get any better? I am totally blessed. Yes.
Wow. We'll have to have you on the show again in a few months, and we'll do something more around relationship, because I know personally I'd love to hear more about a 40-year thriving communion with another human being. And like, that's a whole nother thing. So we'll have to play with that coming up.
Cool.
All right. Question number 3 coming at you.
Yes.
So imposter syndrome, we talk about this a lot on the show. Imposter syndrome is this thing, for those of you who are just tuning in, have never seen the show before, don't know what it is. Imposter syndrome is this feeling that you get that at any moment someone's going to kick in the door and call you out for the fraud that you are and throw you out into the street. Susan, have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome? And if so, how have you combated it?
I would say the biggest thing that every day, because when I'm making this reality real and true, that's when I'm buying into the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So the question I'd ask myself is, oh, am I trying to fit into this reality? Like I choose something and I'm like, then I might say, well, so-and-so is, and I'm like, okay, stop to this reality. And what's greater here for me?
Fantastic.
What's greater here for me? Yeah.
Cool. Number 4.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite book or a blog or a TED Talk that you routinely recommend to people?
You know what? I wish I have CRS, can't remember shit. So what I do often go to TED Talks and I'll look under, oh gosh, there's so many. There's one young girl, and I think it's called Something I Would Tell My Daughter. And it's not a hip hop, but it's just, there's so many. I just Google whatever I'm interested in the moment on TED Talks. And the good thing about it is if you don't like it, you can move to the next one. Books. There's a book I read years ago called A Letter to My Daughter, and it was written about somebody who came to the planet and from another universe, and she really wrote a letter to her, Letters to My Daughter, and it really talks a lot about being present as an infinite being on the planet. There are so many books. There's so much.
Letters to My Daughter. I'm writing that down.
There's so much because the information, nothing is original. You know, I have a master's in painting. And one of the things that they told us at the beginning is there's no such thing as original, right? So this whole striving, this imposter striving for being original or for perfection, it just doesn't work. So that if I'm reading something now, who else, what other philosopher was writing about it beforehand? There's just so much with music, with arts, with people. How many thousands and thousands of people have we met in other lifetimes that we've asked to show up again in this lifetime, and they pop for us. And I would say that,
you get it when you get it. So sometimes when different people deliver,
we're always getting it.
And different ways of delivering the same thing can create, a different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I created Heavy Metal Poisoning years ago, that's what actually drew me into Access Consciousness, about being conscious with my body. I lost my hair, my eyebrows, my eyelashes, and the medical community had me trapped in this reality of, well, you're just getting older and that's why you're losing your hair. I'm like, no, I'm inhaling Damar varnish in my studio, really close with a blowtorch. That could have something to do with it. And so it actually led me to discovering how to be present with my body, how to be present with my relationship, because I decided, well, if I'm not a painter, who am I? Well, there's no relationship with me in there. So in this acknowledgement that we are seekers, that good enough is just not good enough. That we're always seeking, we're always asking for more. There's always going to be somebody else who inspires me. There's always going to be another book and another song. And I reach back. I mean, if you could see what the computer is on, it's on, Toulouse-Lautrec.
I love it.
Brings us nicely into question number 5. Question number 5 is, Susan, how will you outcreate yourself in the next 12 months?
Oh, I thank you so much. I made a demand to be gut honest with myself, and to really stop anything that I'm doing because it's expected of me, and to really to step out of being predictable to myself. And it's really something I started listening to at the 7-day that Gary gave. It's sometimes in Access Consciousness. There's sometimes twice a year or 3 times a year where Gary goes to a specific place, and it's 7 days of clearings and questions, and it's mind-blowingly fabulous. And at the last 7-day, it was, would you be willing to step out of being predictable? And it really, just that simple question, like Frank, you asked me about questions. That simple question, well, I'm willing. It's like, this just does not work for me anymore. Now, somebody could be looking at my life and say, what are you, crazy? You're traveling all over the world. You're going to be India with right relationship. Are you fucking nuts? It's just, and it's like, yes, and so grateful, and so grateful, and so grateful. And I'm willing to seduce myself, actually letting go of everything that isn't working for me, and I saw this painting when I was at the airport in Victoria, and it stopped me in my tracks, and my body's like, can we paint again? I'm like, wow. Oh, okay, so when would you like to fit this in? But see, that's this reality. It's really, what can I let go of?
Yeah.
That has become so predictable that actually that was fun.
Yeah.
And now what else is possible?
Yeah, and what can you add? What would happen? Like, what would that create if you just simply add the painting?
Well, we actually, we want to take happen out of there.
Yeah, that's
cool.
it. Create, add it.
Then we become predictable to ourselves. So when we ask that question, it's the awareness of like, okay, what's greater here for me? And I do not want to be sitting with you, Frank and Rebecca, 12 months from now, saying I could have been a contender.
Yeah.
Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I got time for that.
Susan Lazar Hart, bringing it. Bringing it
You know
big
what?
time.
You know, it's what people say about me is none of my business, and what I say about me is none of my business either. So, like, I'm going for what's greater here. What's greater here? What's greater here? And when you mentioned just the right relationship for you, we're going to be in India this July. Unbelievably gorgeous, fabulous India in Delhi. It's my 5th or 6th time there with the core classes with Right Relationship for You, New Beginnings, Sex, Sexualness and Relationship, and Facilitator. So and a 3-day body class in Hyderabad. So I invite you all to come and play with us. It's the only 2017 Right Relationship for You entire class from soup to nuts and back again. And please come to Delhi. It's amazing and beautiful and gracious and elegant and gorgeous. And how does it get any better than that?
Yeah, and I'm just looking like, ooh, and if you could bring your partner, like what could that create to go to all that together? And if there isn't a partner in your life, like, I wonder, could you create one with that, with all of that yumminess?
I wonder what else is possible.
I know. Cool. Oh, well,
thank you so much for tuning in this week. Susan Lazar Hart, thank you so much for joining us. What an honor to have you on the show. Rebecca, thanks for being my amazing co-host.
Thanks for being you, Frank.
And folks, don't stop believing. And be good to yourselves and be excellent to each other. We'll see you next week, everybody. This has been the Art of Creation Show. I've been your host, Frank Fradella, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Ciao. Bye-bye, folks.
Thank you.